Greetings, fellow geeks, and welcome to Pretend Low Earth Orbit for transmission number 660 of Geeks in Space. Today we are talking about robots, sex, space trash, smart glasses, and whatever Discord throws our way. I'm Rob Commander Takamalda, and you are glad to know that I'm not doing this alone. No, as always, I am joined by two of the greatest geeks that you will ever meet. You have Chris DeBona.
Hello.
You have Rob Roseboom.
Good morning.
It's so early, guys. It's only 10 o'clock.
That's pretty early for you guys, I think.
I think you're the.
But you know who it's not early for? Steve Wozniak.
So I wasn't expecting that level of efficiency from you this early in the morning, Chris.
Holy shit! Right into it.
Right?
Are you guys all right with that? Do we even do the introductions?
No, that's good.
Let's say hello to Mr. Rob Malda.
Oh, hi.
Wait, we already did that.
I did that part.
You did?
Yeah.
Oh,
I said your name, although I said my name after what I said we were going to talk about because I forgot to say that part.
And he led with sex robots.
I always lead with sex robots. When sex robots are on the menu, you lead with sex robots.
All right, you want to start with the sex robots?
No, we'll
let's
get
go
there.
to Woz.
Let's talk Woz.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
Wait,
there was actually.
What if Woz is a sex robot?
He might be. He seems very cuddly.
You know, he is pretty cuddly. Yeah, I think he's just, I think he's an all right guy.
All right. Well, he has announced a space trash startup, I guess. There's almost no information about it. It's with a former Apple engineer. Just, I thought that was odd because today I actually bumped into just tangentially like 3 different stories about space trash. So now I'm worried about that. And also maybe that has something to do with the fact that I accidentally didn't put my trash cans out on the right night this week.
Is he collecting the trash or is he sending trash into space?
Well, probably in the beginning they'll be adding to the problem, but I think the idea is they're gonna slap up an absorbent, foamed steel catchment for smaller debris. And as to the rest, I don't not foam steel, but foam.
Like dragging a big net or maybe a giant robot catcher mitt.
Yeah.
So
yeah, exactly. Enormous leather,
Yeah.
I always wondered if you could get away with
oil.
Those like the super thin ribbon metal stuff, like
the Mylar?
Like Mylar or something. I always wondered if you could like just get like 100 feet of it and spool it all up in like a little tiny spool, and then just like shoot it like shoot space trash with that, and like drag it down like a tail.
So you can't actually. Basically you have a very long tether rope Mylar thing, and it manages to introduce enough drag if it's long enough, or it manages to descend to lower orbits and slow you down enough that you start having a decayed orbit ahead of time.
I just never sure
this is another thing. It's sort of like when a parachute doesn't completely open, it still gives you some drag, twisting around in the wind. But, obviously there's no wind in space.
Well, Woz's company is called Privateer.
Which is a great name. Can I just say that's a great name? Because if you think about it, right, it says a lot about their business model for the company. Because what they're going to say is like, they're going to like, listen, Northrop, Lockheed, NASA, U.S. government, they have a bunch of dead shit in space. We're going to go collect it for them, and then they're going to pay us, right? Because the old privateer model during the golden age of sail was basically kind of renting your ship services out to the highest bidder, or just taking them.
Pretty much government-funded piracy.
Exactly. So, and he probably played a lot of Wing Commander, and he's like, you know what? I'm going to take 2 great things, chocolate and peanut butter them together, and put stuff in space. I'm Woz.
Woz gets to do whatever he wants. As far
he
as
kind of does, he's gotten a pass, from, because he sort of, he was never part of Apple's bad things. He was always part of the good things.
In fact, he seemed to actively, he's one of the few people that actively seemed to speak out, even during the Dark Ages. He was always the guy, who would just say, that's stupid.
Yeah, that's stupid, or like he backs the right to repair big time, independent of Apple and Tim Apple's desire for that. And it's like, Woz has always done a solid for computers and for nerds, and I appreciate that about that guy.
That's what you appreciate about him.
That's what I appreciate about Steve Wozniak. I remember he was back in it was some I think it was a Creative Commons, and I ran into him and his then girlfriend, who I think is now his wife, at this dinner, and he was just like, we were just talking about free software, talking about open source. He's just like, he's a good guy, and he was an advisor to Danger, and then to sort of Android before we bought them, and a bunch of other things. So he's guy shows up.
Now, if you want to talk about,
still rides his Segway.
Oh, that's commitment. As far as other people from that era, 70s computer inventors, Sir Clive Sinclair has died. Not as well known on this side of the pond, I suppose. But if you spend any time browsing retro computing YouTube, you will find 1,000 videos speaking of the ZX Spectrum and the great Sir Clive.
And the TI 99-4A, right?
Indeed.
Well, or was that? No, so that was more of a competitor.
Well, it was what they had in the UK.
Yeah.
I've played around.
It was the Timex Sinclair 1000. I remember this thing.
Yeah. I never played on a physical one, but I have played on one in emulators.
What's going on my screen today?
And they're neat. My favorite part about them is the incredible cheapness. The ZX Spectrum's like $99.
Oh yeah.
And they had like 1K of RAM. They're amazing.
Well, so the thing I remember was the keyboard when I first tried them. Boy,
the keyboard's bad.
Was hard to love.
That's what they say.
It was really hard to love. It made it really hard to do anything with it, frankly. So. But heck of a thing.
The one of my favorite little hobbies or things that I will watch is videos where people compare the different ports of a video game across multiple platforms. And it's always really fun to watch, here was the arcade version, and here's the ZX Spectrum version, and here's the Commodore 64. Well, that's the thing, is that the ZX Spectrum, more than a lot of those platforms, the sprites had the sprites had the limited number of colors, right? So you'd get 2 colors or 4 colors per sprite. So the sprites always had weird color alignment issues on those games, and so it's just very recognizable amongst games in that era, because 2 or 3 years later, the Commodore 64 had more colors per sprite, I suppose, or maybe just engineers got better at designing their games knowing that their sprites could only have 2 colors. But I don't know, those Spectrum games look like a thing. I mean, ultimately at the end of the day, it's like,
you would get this green blue fringing. I remember the fringing so much of the colors on the little edges.
But okay, so look at down in the bottom left hand corner, the window that's sitting behind that man who's squatting in the left. That you can see how there's squares of white jutting off. That's just that is what every
no circles for you,
right? Well, and also how the 2 fighters in the front they're black and yellow. There's no other colors there, and they're on a yellow. That is just the hallmark of that graphics, the graphics capabilities of that era. But I mean, the key thing is that it put BASIC, and it put the ability to type in machine language programs in front of everybody back then.
A generation
for $99. I mean, the comparable stuff on this side of the pond is the TRS-80, and those are $1,000, and you're not getting that.
I would say the Commodore 64 was the closest thing from a introduce people to computer science.
For sure, but that's 3-4 years later.
3-4 years later.
And $400.
4 times as expensive.
Yeah. These are...
Introductory price was $600.
Yeah, these are almost the price of an expensive graphing calculator.
Those things were $99. That's nothing,
Yeah. Sinclair did that, did a bunch of other odds and ends, did a bunch of stuff.
He did a funny car.
He did, and that's the thing that kind of sank him. because he was all in on this funny car, and everybody just like,
C5.
what the actual?
Yeah. It's the downfall to a lot of geniuses, right?
Just
because you're very smart in one area, that does not go over into other areas quite often.
Sure.
It's very, very rare to find someone who's a genius in many different things.
A polymath.
Yeah. And obviously, well, look at that thing. I mean, look at the steering on that.
You have to, I guess, reach down and wiggle it around.
Yeah. It's pretty extraordinary.
That's a great word to describe the C5.
That's right.
Extraordinary. Was it electric? Yeah.
Yeah, it was electric, man. Like in the 80s.
I mean,
and the reality is that a single person plastic, I mean, mopeds are cool, but like, a sit down kind of moped, you probably could have figured out a form factor to make that work real well. That is not the way. Oh boy.
Hold on. I've got a picture of the inside of the Sinclair. It is exactly what you think. Look, it's an electric.
Yeah.
You have the electric motor back here, but you can also pedal it, which is nice, right? Yeah.
It's like a recumbent bicycle.
Well, I mean, that's what it is, right? A recumbent electric. So, but yeah,
I have a really hard time in a recumbent bike. I get
really?
tippy. Yeah, I'm not a balanced person.
Oh, okay. Well, is it because of your nose?
Yeah, probably.
You can't smell straight.
Can't smell, so it just throws off a sense of balance. You thought it was the eustachian tubes in your ears that controlled your balance. Turns out nasal passage.
Not specifically nasal hair, so you don't want to be too aggressive on nasal hair picking, right, dear readers.
Thank goodness the podcasters are appreciating, because Chris is now demonstrating proper nose picking procedures.
Oh yes, that's what I'm doing.
It's graphic.
Here, let me get my Leatherman, and I'll show you the right way to collect nose and ear hairs if you're adventurous.
All right.
And aren't you a brave person,
you didn't need to use the zoom. Oh, the telephoto, unnecessary.
Well, there's this new feature where when you zoom in, you can pull the focus wheel a little bit and get right. No.
Oh, the macro lens. No. Oh, that's vile. All right. Well, okay, let's do Blade Runner before we do the other one, because I'm afraid we'll get lost.
Oh, really? Aren't they the same story?
Maybe. Actually, you're right.
That is a question that we'll get into.
Blade Runner 3 is in some form of production.
Yeah, that could mean anything, really.
Yeah.
But yeah.
There's no way they can put Harrison Ford in another movie, right?
God, he's getting old.
Oh, yeah. I'm thinking they're trying to hurry this along before he dies. I mean,
before he kicks it.
Look, Clint Eastwood, who is, I think, an amazing actor, and has made some great movies. But have you seen him lately?
Oh, I haven't.
He's yelling at chairs, man, empty chairs. And that was 10 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, the guy's, I don't know how old Clint Eastwood is now. Old. And he is, he's gotten to that point now where he is starting to shrink and shrivel and not look like Clint Eastwood anymore.
And whenever he takes off in a plane or a helicopter, it's like, flip a coin. Maybe it'll land. Maybe it'll land. Not well, Yeah.
I mean, it's mean, but like Harrison Ford should not have been in the last Star Wars movie. I mean, obviously they did what they did because they didn't have Carrie Fisher to fill the story function, but he was too old for that. And the last Indiana Jones movie, which is like 15 years now, he felt old.
And they're filming Indiana Jones 5, and he's in it.
You mean 4, right?
Yes, you mean 2? I mean, come on, maybe 3.
I like Last Crusade.
Let's not
like
Last Temple of Doom.
A Temple of Doom.
Too high a mark above Crystal Skull.
I mean, they're not so distant from each other.
Yeah, I know
what you're thinking, though, Rob Malda. Anything goes. I still feel that Kate Capshaw was the MVP of that movie. I mean, I hated her character, but boy, did she act the crap out of that role.
That was the funny thing about rewatching that movie is that, I always thought that Kate Capshaw was the worst part of that movie. What I did not realize is that she was actually like an equal tie because nobody was good.
I don't know. I think she was the best part of that movie.
I mean, Indy is always the best part of those movies. Indy is still good.
Really not.
I think the bugs did a really good job.
Yeah, let's go with the bugs.
The bugs.
Anyways, Blade Runner 3,
Blade Runner
in theory
3,
in production.
Did the article say if Denis is doing it or is it somebody else?
It did not.
All right.
It just said that now, thanks to the work of one of our trusted and proven inside sources, we learned that Blade Runner 3 is in development. At this time, the movie is still in urges.
Yeah, whatever. All right. Well, then that leads us into the story that I'm afraid we'll get sucked into for a while.
Come on.
Really?
Come on, Rob. Really?
So a survey.
It's really penetrating analysis there.
That's right. That's right. I work really hard.
The canonical joke is 40% of people would have sex with a robot, study exclaims. The other 60% were lying.
That's right.
Yeah, I was going to say the headline should be 50% of people lie about wanting to have sex with a robot.
No, it's 60% of the people too busy having sex with robot to answer survey.
Shut up! I'm having sex with the robot.
A hardcore 10% that wouldn't have sex with a robot.
Yeah,
and the big question too is: are we talking like Boston Dynamics big dog backing up onto you, or are you talking about a replicant?
Okay.
Right? Or are we talking about the Blade Runner, the girl in Blade Runner?
Can I tell it's a robot?
I'm picturing this survey. Hello, I'm with Quinnipiac Research Organization.
Duracell.
Very important questions. Brought to you by Duracell. Yes. So, Mr. Rosebaum, I have down here that you live in the Midwest and you're a technology enthusiast.
I'm scared that you know my name and want me to ask if I want to have sex with a robot.
This question.
It's very important. First of all, I'm just going to ask a question, and you should answer if you strongly agree or strongly disagree on a scale of 1 to 5. So, Mr. Rosebaum, would you have sex with a robot?
Mr. Rosebaum, this is an anonymous survey, Mr. Rosebaum.
And it's being recorded.
I'm gonna need some answers.
Okay, so if a robot is shaped like a Gundam robot, would you have sex?
Is it the size of a Gundam or is it human sized?
It's a human sized Gundam robot, kind of like in the What If last night.
Maybe I'm in. Maybe I'm in.
All right.
Maybe you're in. All
right. You also have to figure like things like, okay, let's say it is quadruped, but it's got a human face. Is that enough?
That's worse.
That have sex.
That's worse.
All right, I'm gonna say something that's pretty. I mean, over the last 20 years. There was the introduction of a flashlight
teledildonics
for such things. Mm-hmm. Isn't that just a robot? It's got a battery. It's got an interface for 40% of the population. I mean, I think the people have spoken. They're totally hip to the idea of this stuff.
Why
I guess
did
maybe
you teach me to feel pain?
Is there a distinction then between robots and just a machine?
Right.
Or a device,
no.
Let's say.
Because at this point, what's the difference then between buying a real doll and then just like duct taping an iPad to the head?
What was I was searching for something on AliExpress and all I got was like real doll and sex mannequins or whatever, but I typed in something really normal, like
sex mannequin.
I didn't know what a magic arm was called,
bone bot
or something, and I ended up getting like all this stuff. I'm like, what is going on? How many factories are making these things?
You know how China can like build a whole city in like an afternoon?
Yeah, sure.
Well, that's why.
They use robots?
No, they're just building cities to make these robots.
Yeah, it's like there's textile cities, there's electronic cities, and then there's
robots.
Yeah.
Well, and what happens to your sex robot once it's all used up? How much of a market is there for used sex robots?
Or sex robot disposal services, right? Because I have to tell you something. It seems like Victor the Cleaner is going to get a new branch of his work.
This leads me back to a discussion that I was having with my lovely wife last night about rampant
sex robots.
Yeah, about sex robots, about rampant consumerism and the replacing of objects. I have in my house,
in your house,
in my home, a TV that I would get a bigger TV except I don't want to deal with the hassle of getting rid of the smaller TV. I have in my house an amp that, you know, it's fine, but I would replace it because I would like a better one for insignificant reasons, but then I have to get rid of the old one. The hassle of getting rid of the old object prevents me from even wanting to bother with getting the upgraded, newer consumer object. This problem is so much worse when it's your used up sex bot.
It does make you wonder if it could be repurposed then for like manual labor or help around the house after it's used up its purpose as a sex robot.
I don't like Cindy69 anymore, so now she just does dishes.
Because I can see having trouble donating a sex robot to charity. But if you knew that we could, watch the kids and help rake the lawn, then sure,
I have to be honest with you. This is one of those areas where I'm pretty sure if any of my employees watch this, I would get in trouble with HR at this point. So I'm gonna suggest that both of you look into the Buy Nothing groups and Free for Good groups in your local Nextdoor or Facebooks, because
that's where you actually get used robots.
Well, no, I mean for your TV. For the things you actually you're like, you know what? I don't want to go through the hassle of actually selling this thing to the guy on Craigslist who wants to talk. It's like there are ways to get rid of things and for them to find productive homes.
Oh, I am well aware. It's just not worth the
effort. You can give it to hospice. You can give it to the Habitat for Humanity people if it's a tool. I love giving things to like Goodwill and hospice, and so just they love working TVs.
In fact, I'm giving a whole lot of stuff to Goodwill.
You are.
Arla, right?
Yes,
So yeah. Well, so like for instance, if you had Google Glass lying around, right, and you needed to give it to someone somewhere because you're replacing it,
your nemesis, your enemy.
Well, so so there was the Facebook story last cycle.
The
about
teen
their
girls
Facebook
that were making all the
camera
girls
glasses.
sad. Oh no, the glasses.
Yeah. So with the cameras on both sides and the little indicator saying when they're recording, and like universally the coverage was Facebook introduces creepy glasses, learns nothing from Google, and but at the same time in a different country, Xiaomi was launching their smart glasses, and I have to tell you something. This is a terrific ad that is like, listen, it's got a camera, but like I could see them shipping this without a camera or doing it right, because like, and also let's get real, people in China don't have the same expectations of privacy that we do, but like the way they present it is like they're like, listen, if you need to translate a thing or focus on a thing better, it's like, it's just this side of like, it's going to help you as you get older, but it's just like, and like the way they do the light guide display is really smart,
The one thing that concerned me about that is that they were talking about it, how it has the capability of serving a million nits.
2 million nits. Yeah, but that's from here, and then it gets spread across, so it's really not 2 million. It's not like gonna cook your eyeballs.
The Apple patent filings that came out in the last week, they actually filed a thing, and obviously patent filings, whatever, but they actually had a retinal like laser blaster, it looked like.
Yep, that is a known way to do it.
Yep. That's the way that terrifies me.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's I'm happy to have other people be the first adopters of eye laser poking.
Right.
Like I waited 20 years. I mean, what was it, 12 years after you had LASIK, I had LASIK? I mean, maybe more. I mean, I remember you had LASIK, what was it, early 2000s?
Yeah.
And yeah, so you were the guinea pig for our friend group.
And I'm still wearing glasses.
I noticed that.
Right.
It's just for reading or for everything?
The LASIK did not work so well for me.
Did you think about getting a revision?
I've thought about it, but it's one of those things like I can drive without glasses.
Mm-hmm.
That's the level, and sometimes I'll watch a movie without my glasses, so I'm really close to being fine. The problem is that it's off just enough that if I don't wear glasses, my eyes are straining after a while. So it's one of those things where it's so close to not carrying that I don't even know if they'd be able to fix it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, when I got mine done, it was so I have a better far vision because my far vision was terrible. I mean, basically, I could read the fine print on the back of a CPU chip like this, right? But I couldn't ski without glasses or contacts, and I cannot wear contacts, right?
Yeah, before I had the LASIK, I could not. I couldn't read a piece of paper that was like too close to read. I couldn't read without glasses, and I had no far vision. But I'm basically blind. Evolution wants me out, is what I'm saying.
Well, it just doesn't want you to see stuff far away.
Yeah. Like evolution really was interested in me fixing circuit boards.
Right.
No, it's funny because I told you about my old man Sherlock magnifying
glass.
So my good wife, I've been joking that I could use one of these.
Yeah.
I use this thing like twice a day. That's how old I am. I use my magnifying glass twice a day old.
My wife has jeweler's glasses that she wears all the time for stuff.
Oh, yeah. That's the dream. And I've got like an inspection lamp over here too. So anyway, it's very handy. I don't know where I was going with that, but
that's not a first.
Yeah. It's like they told me that I would have trouble with reading, and I need reading glasses as I age, and that wouldn't change. And I'm like, okay, and they weren't wrong.
My thing with these smart glasses is that I'm actually surprised, like how many things that I thought would be nice for smart glasses. Actually, the watch is a pretty good form factor for them. Things like, what song are you listening to? And like, you need to turn left at the next intersection. The watch actually is fine for most of that. Yeah. The thing that I really just always want smart glasses to do, and I've said this a million times, is the scariest thing, which is just tell me who this person is, because I can't remember their name, and I'm feeling really uncomfortable and awkward, and it's stressing me out.
Yeah.
But that's the creepiest thing.
A smart glass, frankly, I find the idea of a glass that thinks offensive. Oh. That's my, because I can't go to the dang Starship Troopers thing, so
that's right.
I have to get my Starship Troopers commentary in with you jerks.
Get it ready. We'll save it. We'll talk with you after, and you can have like a follow-on episode.
I've thought of like naming an old movie that we've already done. As my pick next time. Like, oh, we're gonna do Real Genius. You're like, but we already did Real Genius. Yeah, but we're gonna do it again
with me.
Yeah.
You've done Real Genius, but you haven't done it with me.
You shouldn't punish us for Cliff's mistakes.
I got nothing but love for Cliff. You know that. If he's going to take the joy that is Starship Troopers, fine.
Out of your hands for no good reason.
Blade.
What did you ever do to him, really?
That's right.
Just supported him.
And to answer Magnum PI's question, yes, all of my other senses of smell are heightened because I have no sense of smell and I have weak vision. So I can actually taste Chris right now, and he is in Seattle.
That's unpleasant.
So What If? Did you guys watch this one?
I did watch What If. Did you watch What If, Roseman?
I did recently, but I can't remember if I watched the newest one. Yes, I watched that one.
That was fun.
Yeah, it was all right.
Yeah, it's fine.
I mean, kind of left a little bit of a weird ending to me.
Yeah.
They do like ending on their cliffhangers. Sort of, kind of.
I kind of dig on that,
though. Good,
I enjoyed it.
Yeah. So remember, I think the Killmonger is one of the best villains they've had
for sure
in all of the MCU.
For sure.
Thing, right? He actually has good motivations. It's not just vengeance, but claiming his birthright and like all these really good things, right? That's like, but this was not just that good.
I enjoyed it tremendously, but that's all fair.
I don't think they stand a chance against Killmonger. Like, I think it's at the cliffhanger at the end. When they're talking about, now we're gonna prove he's wrong or whatever. It's like You should just have another 30 seconds where he goes and slaughters both of them. And that's it.
I watched Shang-Chi yesterday.
Oh, I'm going to go see it tomorrow in the theater.
That's what I did. There were 6 people in the theater.
Whoa.
I know.
That's
still haven't seen it.
It was the big IMAX.
Wow.
Were there
6 people in an IMAX?
Yeah.
Were there a lot of alien dragons in it, or no?
I mean, you guys are gonna watch it, so let's talk after you.
Yeah, let's talk on
we don't need to spoil poor Chris. What
right.
I'll say is that the what I won't talk about the last half, but there's a really nice scene which is clearly like we saw Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, and it's influenced the films that influenced it with the cool wire work, and we did a scene just like it. And then we did a really cool scene on a bus where the action is relatively grounded. There's not there's kind of a superpower, but not really. And it's just like a really well-grounded action scene.
Like their approach at like Jackie Chan or something.
Much more like a Jackie Chan.
That was more the scaffold scene, I bet.
Well, there's a scaffold scene. But yeah, and that's the thing is that each scene then after that, amps up the action in some ways very obvious. There's a scaffold scene. And then eventually they start adding more Chinese mythology to it. And by the last scene, I was just kind of bored of the action scenes. But I liked the story. So that helps.
Okay.
Oh, we didn't talk about Inspiration4.
We didn't talk about Inspiration4. I didn't put a single story up because that happened while we were recording on Wednesday. They're up. There's pictures that now being taken. I haven't yet seen a picture taken through the cupola, but there's a picture of the cupola taken from a camera outside.
Yeah, here's. I think this is the photo you mean. That one?
Yep.
Yeah.
See, I got to tell you, when I seen these pictures, I'm like, those Richard Branson people, they got the shaft. They got nothing. This is the real deal.
I mean, 576 kilometers. I mean, this is in orbit for 3 days, and they have to poop in space. So then you get the patch if you have to poop in space.
I think that's the deal. So I think that our business should here's my proposed business.
Okay, I'll call Steve Wozniak.
Yeah,
and see
we find the hybrid. Okay, I don't know if you need Richard Branson's plane or you need the Bezos capsule, but we need to figure out how long you need to be in space to poop, and then that's the whole measure. It's not 3 days, but it's more than 6 minutes. So you go up, you poo, and then you come down. Then you're an astronaut.
Yeah, you get a special poop badge.
The poop patch.
I guess they have some room behind here. I mean, because they're not sitting down all the time, right? So, I mean, where do they put their vomit bags and stuff?
If that's your mark, though, then there'll just be people who, will require you to eat special foods right before you go,
right?
So that you can, you can be an astronaut in 30 seconds. We guarantee.
Yep. Or the alternative where, you're so constipated that you don't poop.
Oh, yeah. Right. I was up there for 3.5 days.
Then you just stay up there.
Or you poop extremely space friendly
Yep.
So it's easy to handle, shall we say.
Yeah.
You're going to have to eat 6 pounds of fiber while you're eating fiber cereal on the launch pad.
No. Like cheese. I mean the other side.
You want to plug it up.
Yeah. Yeah, this is very tasty.
It's one for the record.
That's
books.
right.
One for the record.
Sex bots and space poop.
I mean, at least we didn't say log chopper at any point during this discussion.
You just said it. It was going so well.
It was going so well.
Yeah, it was all very high class until that point.
Yeah.
All right.
For some reason, that meme has gone everywhere. So,
do we want to? Do we have anything else for our agenda? So or should we say goodbye?
I think we should say goodbye.
Yeah.
We've already done enough damage.
We've already done enough, right?
All right.
Sure
goodbye,
have.
Chris Tabona.
Bye.
And goodbye, Rob Roseboom.
See ya.
I was Rob Commander Taco Malda. That was Geeks in Space. We'll see you next Tuesday. Bye.